Hi, I'm Christy Riles, and I'm a kindergarten teacher here at Heritage, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about our school-wide reading goal. Our reading goal is decided by our students and by teachers. We get together at the beginning of the year and kind of decide what our goal is going to be, and then we break it down into 4 separate goals for each 9 weeks. It's very exciting. The kids are really excited. We show the progress to our goal by marking it on the outside of our classrooms, and you can kind of look outside and see where everybody is on their goal. What I really like about it is that it's a school-wide effort and a class-wide effort, and everybody counts, every book counts. And the other really cool thing about it is at the end of the 9 weeks, once we meet our goal, the students get to decide on what reward we're going to have. And so it's totally student choice. They put out the answers or the choices that they would like for a reward, and then they all vote on what they would like for their reward. And then we get to celebrate all of that great reading that we've been doing this year. Our goal this year was 30,000 books. I hope we make it. We're trying really hard to make it right now. But it's been really great to encourage the love of reading. Since I teach kindergarten, it looks a little bit different, of course, because we're not independently reading at the beginning of the year. And so a lot of that is done with grown-ups reading to them, parents reading to them, reading buddies and things like that. But it encourages that love of reading to the point to now second semester where we're reading books on our own and adding that to our growing number.
I'm Caitlin Morris, and I'm one of the first grade teachers here at Heritage Elementary School. And I want to share with you some of the ways we motivate our students through independent reading. One of the things in first grade is we follow along with our school-wide reading goal. First grade takes our own goal. So our goal is 1,200 books as a grade level for this 9 weeks. And then what we do is we give each student a reading log. And at the beginning of each 9 weeks, we talk about what is an appropriate goal for each kid as far as how many books they could read throughout the 9 weeks. So this 9 weeks, my class chose 20 books. We encourage them to write these down nightly. When they can write down 1 chapter at a time, they can write down a book mom has read to them, what they've read independently. And I've also really encouraged my kids to take ownership of this and write their own books down. So that's not always mom's homework, but let's have some ownership in writing down what we do at home as well. So most of my kids are doing really well with this goal. Every Friday, we pull out their logs, I count how many books they've read, and I record it, and then we talk about who our top reader for the week was. After I get all of those books added up, we record that number on our door outside in the hallway, and every classroom has the same recording sheet, so then we can walk down and see how many books each class has read. So it kind of creates a really fun, friendly competition. And then we also have a big bulletin board in the hallway that shows how many books we've read so far and how close we are to our goal. And this is my class library. I have all of my books sorted by themes throughout what I teach throughout the year. So book 1, book 10 is all my beginning of the year books. I've got all the different holidays and themes, and that's how they're sorted. When my kids come in at the beginning of the year, they're allowed to check out 4 books per week, and I leave them at their desk all week long. And I do not limit my kids to any books. They are allowed to take anything out of this library. And these are ones that I read aloud to them too. So once I've read a book, they can't wait to get their hands on that book. I don't ever want to tell them no to a story. I do limit them to 1 chapter book in their seat sack a week, just because you get some that want 4 or 5 at a time, and they can't do that in a week. At the beginning of the year, we do a lot of picture walk, because some of these books may be too challenging for them to read independently. So we teach them how to read the pictures. Then we go on a word hunt. How many words can you find that you recognize on those pages? And then as we go, we progress into learning how to read more of those sentences. And then by the end of the year, we've got several fluent readers reading all of those chapter books they were so eager to start at the beginning of the school year.
My name is Amber McMillan, and I teach 3rd grade at Heritage Elementary School. So I read a book called The Book Whisperer, and it was just really talking about connecting boys and girls to good quality books and just getting them excited about reading. And so, as we moved away from AR, we knew we still had to do something that kept kids accountable. But I think the biggest thing that I learned from that book is just the reminder of we've got to get kids hooked into reading. It's just like us, adults are the same way. If we have buy-in, then we're going to do it. And so for my boys and girls, I teach reading, obviously with our curriculum, but also I do novel studies, and we do those monthly, and it just gets them engaged and wanting to read. Through the novel studies, it's different than a read aloud, because I do have the book and I'm primarily reading aloud, but as much as possible, I like to have the boys and girls have their own copies of the books. That way they can follow along and they're reading those words too, just because that research shows us that just having that tangible book in their hands just helps their comprehension to go deeper. So from that, we have a lot of good conversations, vocabulary that we talk about, and then they actually work in teams as we read to really work through those novel studies. I try to pull things from all different genres as I teach them about the genres, and then they just kind of work through those. Oftentimes the questions I give them are more kind of problem solving and like inferencing and we're drawing conclusions, so it's not for grade. We share when we're finished, why did your team choose this? And it's just that thinking aloud and then that sharing, and that collaboration with your peers, I think, really helps. And so what we do is we do something called the 30 book challenge, and they have 30 books to read and respond to by the end of the year. And so the way that's managed is I allow them to choose whatever book they want to start with, and they come up and they have a binder, and it's like a reading log, and they show me, this is the book I'm reading, this is the page I'm on. So I kind of write that down in my copy, and then we meet back that following week to see how they've progressed. Sometimes they say, well, you know what, I really didn't like the book, I struggled with the book, I finished the book, but that's just a quick conversation that we have. It's 2-3 minutes per kid once a week, so it's definitely doable. And then we can have those conversations. If the book is not a good fit, then I help them go, okay, well, maybe we need to try a different, what kind of book do you like, what are you interested in, and then maybe I can go help them find a book. So from there, when they finish a book, they have a choice. They have choices in how they respond to that book. So if it's a fiction book, I teach them how to do a story map. They can write a letter to me. They can do a book report, poster, puppet show. And then I also teach them how to do a Google slideshow. Same thing with nonfiction. They can teach the class, make a poster. They can also do a slideshow. We just talk about the difference and how that would look, because nonfiction and fiction. The accountability part is they can't add that to their log unless they've responded in some way. So that gives them choice. We also utilize Epic. So there are books that have quizzes, so I allow those as well, because they can't do that on all 30 books. But the goal is I want them to have choice in what they're reading. I want them to have choice in how they respond. And if they can respond to the book they've read, obviously we can as teachers read every book that they're going to read. But we can say, okay, if they can respond in some kind of writing, some kind of typing, some kind of sharing, they read the book. Once they have shared their response, they add it to their binder, and then they add a sticker on their card. And that's just a visual, to kind of keep up with. Once they've met their 30 book, they don't stop. I encourage them, okay, guess what, you've met it. Let's see how you can let's see how many books you can get to, by the end of the year. There's no pressure. It all comes down to excitement, accountability, and that's that, conferencing part, and just allowing them choice and to share, what they're interested in, and sharing with others. And it seems to work really well. They seem excited.
All right, hi everybody. I am Katie Scruggs, and I teach 4th grade at Heritage Elementary. And I'm just going to walk you kind of through what we've done this year as far as our independent reading. We kind of were at a loss last year. We felt like our kids really had not done a great job with independent reading, and we know how important it is. So we wanted to put more of an accountability piece into our planning. And so we kind of came up with a couple of different things. And it's still a work in process, but I do feel like that we have been more accountable of our kids this year than in previous years. So we kind of have done a status of the class type thing here. So every day I check in with my kids, ask them what book they're reading, what page they're on, and that is part of that accountability piece. And then we are also doing, in addition to that, doing conferencing with the kids. And so the kids have to, their requirements most months have been to read one fiction, one nonfiction, and then they get a free choice. And so then they come up with a little summary of what they read, and then they're also required to write down 3 vocabulary words that they encountered throughout the book that they didn't know, look up the meanings, and then we kind of talk about them. And then the kids sign up for a conference each day, and they wait for me to call them, and then they'll bring this paper with them, and they'll tell me if it's a fiction book, they tell me just a summary. If it is a nonfiction book, we ask them to tell us 3 facts that they learned from the book. And then at the end of the 9 weeks, if they are at the end of the month, I should say, if they have met that goal, then they have different rewards for each month. We are getting ready to celebrate our April goals tomorrow morning, which was free time, just 30 minutes. So we're going to give them an extra recess free time. And then we concluded in May with having a pizza party. So if they made their goals for a pizza party. So the goal was, although we don't really call it a 40-book challenge or a 30-book challenge, the goal was by the time they got to the end of the school year that they would have around 30 books read as well. I will say that probably it has slowed some of them in their reading as a result of kind of the conferencing piece of it. But we hope that it has made it more accurate and accountable and less about finishing the book and more about the quality of the book they're reading. And mine have really enjoyed having Epic as a source this year as well. I think that was kind of new to a lot of them, so they've really used that. And of course, you know, we do a lot of read alouds in class too, so some of them have decided to then go on and read the next book at the end of when we finish that book, and so they can kind of get turned on to a series. So that's kind of the element to what we've done. And like I said, it's still a work in progress, and we have continued to kind of evaluate it as the year went on and kind of decide what we love about it and maybe what we want to change.
Hi, I'm Miranda Biggers. I teach 5th grade ELA at Heritage Elementary. The way that we promote reading here in 5th grade is we do the 40-book challenge, where we challenge our kids to read 40 books on a variety of genre on their reading levels by the end of the year. We do let them set and have their own goals and have a voice in that. We have found in the past that encourages them, because if we set it, they feel like it's something that's not attainable. So if they have a voice in that, they usually are more apt to and encouraged to meet their goal. They do track it on their own reading log. I track it as well. When they do finish their book, we have them do what we call a bookmark. And it is just they give us the title, the genre. They also write us just a quick summary, just so we can kind of have an idea that they've read the book. How we kind of encourage them to continue their love for reading is that we have different incentives each 9 weeks. Sometimes they are working, and if they meet their 9-week goal, then they may get extra recess. Or we have what we call the Wheel of Fun that they get to spin and they win a prize. We have some special confetti high fives when they do meet their 40 books for the year. And then we also have a kind of a wall of fame that we track their progress there as well. In 5th grade, we do have a 5th grade graduation at the end, so they also know they get a special recognition on that day as well.